Hello and welcome to Retro Cars Reborn. I'm Lee, and if you're interested in keeping retro cars on the road like this beautiful baby, then start by hitting that subscribe button and we'll get on with the video. Right, so plan of action is remove this strengthening plate so I can put a new one in, because we ended up cutting this top off to replace the wing rails. So the first thing you need to do is find the spot welds. Pretty easy, and I'll show you how. So you just want to get yourself a wire wheel. I got this one from Halfords for about £3, nothing special, and then just a drill to chuck it in. So before you all start laughing, this drill, I've probably had it about 8 or 9 years. It's down as an impact drill. It's got drill on it and it's got impact. And the lucky make of this drill, of course, Tesco. I probably bought this. I don't think they even sell it anymore. Probably, like I say, 8 or 9 years ago, and it's done pretty well to last that long. I've like thrashed it, as you can see, it's been painted on and all sorts. So yeah, you don't need an expensive drill for a job like this. So it's pretty easy to see where spot welds are, because they always slightly lower than the rest of the car, so they leave like a little dimple in. But it's a good indication that that's a spot weld as well, because it's gone inwards, and you know, you can't even grind back all that paint because it's definitely a spot weld. So you just want to do that all the way over. I mean, there's some other easier ways to spot the spot welds. 1, 2 and 3. Sometimes they're really obvious. Another one there. Another 3 up here, look. Sometimes they're really obvious, but when it's had so many layers of paint chucked on it and whatever. So yeah, you just want to do that all over the item you wish to remove. And then I'll show you what you're supposed to do next. So there we are, it's nice and clean. There's many area of suspected spot welds. I mean, that one's pretty decent. Yeah, look. I'm not too keen on this one, on this hole. Look, it's like a spot weld that they then drilled a hole next to. So once you've got it to pretty much a state like this, where you think you know where they all are, I mean, they kind of mirror each other, one on that side, one on that side, one there. I suspect there's probably one up here somewhere. I mean, it does dip in, but that's where the bolts kind of been crushing it over the years. Yeah, so on to the next stage, picking your tool. So this is what I've got. Now this is what I originally used to do them with. It's basically a spot weld when it decides to focus. There we go. It's basically a spot weld drill bit, a proper one. But they, as you can see there, it's blunted. They don't last very long. You have to keep sharpening them. Kind of annoying, really. They come in varied sizes. Not too expensive either. I then bought these. These were 40 quid. They're the most expensive drill bits that I've ever purchased. Milwaukee ones. And I tell you what, they are absolutely amazing. And I've been using basically the 8mm drill bit to do all of my spot weld drill bits. Drilling them out with this 8mm basically. On the recommendation, somebody else does that in another body shop, and it's been working pretty well for me. The only problem is this. Is went to stop, and you end up with these weakened bits where you've removed it, and it was really difficult for me to judge when I'd gone through. So this is what happened, and I don't want that to happen again. So I bought the cheapest spot weld cutters that I could find, and they do look pretty swanky. They're like sprung loaded, so when you go to your spot weld, it fits in the spot weld hole and like presses down and cuts in. And all the videos on people using these are pretty amazing, so I thought, you know what, these Tool Zone ones were £12. I'll give them a go. If they're any good, I might buy a more expensive set later on, but you know, I'm all about cheap stuff, doing the job as cheap as possible. So we'll give these a whirl and we'll see what they're like. So I thought I'd just try them straight out of the box, and exactly what I've been told would happen happened. It just walks all over the surface immediately as it tries to grip. So the advice I was given is to drill a small pilot hole first in each suspected spot weld, so that the actual end has somewhere to sit. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll see what the results are. Right, and so pilot holes all drilled where I suspect spot welds are, and we'll give the spot weld drill pieces another go. Well, it's a lot harder to use than you think, and they still don't just ping off, but it is worthy to note that when Ford put these on in the first place, they weren't perfectly flush to begin with. Look, there was a gap all the way around, but yeah, it still hasn't popped off like you see when other people use them. So I'm still gonna have to use the spot weld chisel just to pry it off. I'll see how hard that is in a second. Well, I spoke way too soon. Just got the spot weld chisel, literally put it here, just gave it the lightest tap, and you can see every single one of them just went ping. They're pretty much all pinged off with one little tap. So it does look like it does work. It's looking a lot faster than just trying to drill them out normally. Anyway, so far the product is pretty good. So not to my surprise at all, what lies beneath, I say? Well, if this had been actually all the original spot welds, they were down here, every single one of these was an original spot weld, up until you get to about here and here. Someone decided they were going to cut this rear piece off completely and then re-weld it across the centre. Why? I don't know. But what lies beneath is probably what lies beneath most Capri owners, especially with a 2.8, because they didn't really do anything to stop anything from getting underneath here. So as you can see, they just left it pretty much with a bare coat on, and over the years all the water that runs in the inner wing will have got sat inside here, and it becomes this lovely crusty mess. So it's not too bad. I've ended up with a couple of holes that are all the way through, but mostly because, look, you can see where they sliced the top panel, they sliced through the lower one. So I'm going to weld straight across that, grind that back, deal with these holes, but I'm thankful really that it's pretty solid under here, and it'll just make replacing this that little bit easier and definitely worthwhile. And you end up with this lovely mess. So the plan now is I will grind this back, get rid of these crappy bits, get it up to the same side as this. This still needs cutting out on this side to make it right again. And then before I put those new strengthening panels on, I will spray some good spray paint that I've seen people using. It's zinc coated, so you can weld to it, but obviously once you've sprayed underneath there, it's covered, and you can spot weld the panel on over the top, and it's still protected underneath. It doesn't have to stay as bare metal like this has. So that'll be the next job. Just giving it a quick going over with flat disc. It's a hell of a lot better. Just weld up these bits in the next video. Throw some rust eater on it, or some rust converter even. Get rid of as much of this pitting as I possibly can. So I've been Lee. This has been Retro Cars Reborn. Please give us a like and a comment. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I shall see you in the next video, where we'll hopefully be tackling with this this top piece, get some welding done, and hopefully get that strengthening plate put on. And I shall see you in the next one.